We're gonna go, and we're going, and we're going. Hi, welcome to Knit.Purl.Repeat. My name's Jess, and I'm coming to you from Tampa, Florida. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as JessSMakes. Everything should be listed in the description box that is covered in this episode. If it's not there, send me a comment and I will try to add that back in. This is episode 3. If you've been here and stuck with me through episodes 1 and 2, thank you so much. I appreciate the support as I go through this crazy journey in this new creative space, new to me creative space. Okay, I am coming to you today, hopefully this is what I consider a shorter episode, and I'm on break from work right now. So I thought I'd just pop in here to talk about a few things, cover a little bit about some finished objects, and then some works in progress, including a bit of spinning content as well. So, since I don't have any actual recently finished objects that I haven't already shown you, and this is all new, and a lot of you probably haven't looked at any of my things on Ravelry or scrolled through all my past posts on Instagram, or even if you have, I figure anything that I've made can be included in my finished objects page. All right, sorry, this hair is driving me nuts. Today, this is the look we're going for. I had a haircut and whatever, here we are. But this is probably gonna happen a lot, so I apologize in advance if that drives you nuts. So where was I? Right, finished objects. So anyway, that's where we're gonna start, and then there'll be some knitting and spinning content. I don't think I'll mention any crochet this week. We'll save that for another day. So today is Wednesday, October 30th, 2024, the day before Halloween. I love Halloween, not the gory, gruesome part of Halloween. I mean, I grew up with all the great scary movies from the 1980s. I used to watch the older ones as well. But I'm not about the gore and things, but the fun of the dress up, the fun aspect to Halloween. So behind me is a finished object of a different fiber sort. This is, oh, and I forgot again to look it up. Is this quilty stuff? Ooh, no, I'm not even going to try to think of who the designer is. I will just hopefully put something on the screen and put their information in the box below and stop shouting at the screen. I feel like I'm in my lecture classroom. Right, this is a scrappy blanket. I can't even remember the name of it. I don't know, I love it. Let me hold it up in front of myself and then I'll talk about it. And here's the backing fabric, which I think is just as important as the front of a quilt. Aren't they cute? They're ghosts. So this is all machine pieced and quilted. I am sure I mentioned previously that I am not a hand sewist. I wish I could. I have tried. It's just not my thing. So it's all about the machine. I just use a home sewing machine. It's a Baby Lock Brilliant. I am not sponsored by Baby Lock, just to let you know what machine I use. I really love this machine. I could also disengage the feed dogs so that I can do free motion quilting, which I've done some experimenting, playing around with that as well. Although my machine gets temperamental if I go in a certain direction, but anyway, we won't go down that road. This is made mostly with scraps that I had in my stash, either leftover fabric from Joann Fabrics, which is most of the printed motifs in here. Some of it also were fat quarters that I had from other projects or just picked up along the way, because I really like this aqua and orange color along with the black. All right, so that's it for the quilt. I'm not going to try to sling it over my shoulder onto the piano. I do not play piano. Well, I can play a little bit, but I wouldn't really call it playing piano. I can make some sounds on there. Both my boys play piano, so that's the upright piano behind us, and I realize I'm wearing black against black. It is what it is. We're just gonna roll with it, people. Other finished object. Oh, and I need to calm down. I'm just very excited today. Right, my first knitted object to share with you as a finished object is the Grain Shawl by Tin Can Knits. So that's this triangular shaped shawl. It is a free pattern from Tin Can Knits. I used their free app that you can use to keep track of any of their patterns. It's really an interesting app, whether they're free or paid for patterns. If you paid for their patterns, you can look through those as well, but you can tell it what size, etc., that you're making, and it will basically hone down all the instructions to just that size. I think that's pretty great. I think this first came on my radar listening to Stephanie, who is Edible Thoughts Makes, both here on YouTube and on Instagram. If you haven't watched any of Stephanie's videos, go over there and check them out. She has regular episodes, and then she has some of these side ones. Sometimes they're not really tutorials, but sort of tutorials on how she does certain things. I think it was one of her maybe smaller videos. I mean, not her regular episode videos, where she talked about, here's the hair, where she talked about this pattern. Anyway, I used, this is DK weight yarn, and I used 3 skeins of Lolo Did It USA DK. This was part of a quarterly subscription that they had run from, I think the show was 1880. Was that the name of it? The one out west? One of the ones out west on one of those cable streaming services. Anyway, so what I decided to do was attempt a fade, which I had never done before. And actually, the more I look at this on camera, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should have gone a different direction. Anyway, I really like the way this looks off camera and out in natural light more than here, but I'm gonna show it to you. Hold up. I can hold it up. It's very springy. So this is worked all in garter stitch with just the yarn overs here for the spine and then yarn overs to make increases. Since you start up here, this brownish tone is dominating the shawl. So if I'd really thought about it more ahead of time to plan it, I would have started fading in the next color I used here, this blue one, in a little bit earlier to kind of break this up. Because of course, as you're getting more and more stitches, right, your rows get longer, but you have fewer of them in that color, right? So you get narrower bands. But I really like these colors, the speckling in there. This is a superwash merino and nylon yarn, but it's not super slippery. It has still a lot of kind of merino crunch to it without being that super fine merino. So it holds up really well, which is probably why it's really intended for socks. But, you know, as you know, if you use sock yarns, you can do more than just make socks with sock yarn. And this is a DK weight. I really like it. It's super soft and squishy without being, it's not scratchy and it's not super slippery. So it's a nice in between. And I really love this shawl. So again, I'll put that information down below in the description box for the link to the pattern. Right, now I don't have my notes in front of me. Ooh, dangerous, right? I'm going off script, possibly. I think that's really it for some finished objects. Let's take a look at some works in progress. So I have a lot of works in progress. at all times. I'm not always working on all of them. My concentration or interest will shift depending on my mood, or something else comes up, or something else has a new timeline. If I decide to do a test knit, then that comes first, and you get the idea. I do look at those lingering whips after a period of time, mostly by looking at my Ravelry page, because that keeps me more honest than trying to remember in what bag which item is located and where in the house. And I will look at them and consider, all right, do I still want to work on this? Why did I stop working on it? Is it something I want? I'm just not interested in working on it right now because something else is taking my interest. Does it require too much attention? Is it too big to carry around, right? What is it about that object? If I still want it and I know it's not something that I hate to work on, then I will keep it and it will just sit off to the side, hibernating for a while. But if it's something that I realize that I'm no longer interested in, or perhaps I think I don't really want it right now anymore, or I didn't enjoy working on it, no, what am I going to do with it if I finish it? Maybe I can use that yarn for another project that has just come to my attention. So I am not, I'm not that reluctant to rip out or frog an entire project or a half-finished project and say that's it, because I would rather it got washed, set, reset, put aside for another project one day than to just sit there in a bag and probably on needles, or I've taken the needles for another project and it really has no hope. It's just orphaned, right? And it needs to have better treatment. One project right now that is not a lingering whip, it's a more recent one that I'm sure I talked about in episode 1. That is, pardon me reaching, that is the Boneyard Sweethearts sweater. So this circular yoke pattern from Telly Bee Knits. I just finished the motif and I split for the arms, but now I'm in a dilemma. I think I mentioned last time that the yarns I'm using to work the yoke are not a DK weight yarn. They may have been labeled as DK, but they're definitely on the heavy DK and worsted category. And I knew that going in. I knew this is stranded color work, right? It might be a little too thick, a little too heavy, but let's see how it goes. And it was fun to work on. It's not difficult. So there's the inside with all my floats. But all of these floats, all those, I mean, you're only ever working 2 yarns at the most, 2 colors at the most. But all of that yarn, this weighs almost 300 grams. It's quite hefty of a sweater. So I'm not really sure that it's wearable for me. It's gonna be a lot of weight. It's gonna be hot. I don't know. So I'm going to block it out and put it on some cables so that I can try it on, see if I think, honestly, if I will ever actually wear it. I think I'd like to find some lighter DK weight yarn to work the yoke. I saw a couple of people wearing this pattern at Rhinebeck and talked to them about it and saw it really in the appropriate weight yarns, and it's just so much better overall. So we'll see. I mean, circular yoke sweaters don't fit me the best either. Just, I have broad shoulders, all the, whatever, trying to work on that. So I have a feeling, I haven't gone any further because I have a feeling that I'm going to rip this out and wait until I can find more appropriate weighted yarns to go with this. Now, a lingering work in progress, it's not lingering for years and years. It has been on the needles though for over a year. I think it was June or July of 2023 when I started this project. And it is the Cascade tank top. So, it's kind of bright green. That might be the way it looks in actual light, natural light, which is what's coming in through the window. But it wasn't the green that I thought it was when I ordered it for a different project. Why I wanted this one and why I'm still continuing to work on it is I want to wear it, and I absolutely love this pattern, this texture, sorry, in the straps down the fronts. So the reason there's all these strings is because of the construction. You pick up, you begin, you stop, you pick up, you cast on and on it goes. So that's really the downside to this pattern, is just all these little ends to weave in. But you know, I love the overall look of this. It is, the rest of it is knit in a purl 3, knit 1 through the back loop rib pattern. You can, of course, turn it inside out after you've joined in the round. It is worked top down. So after you join the round and do the underarms, you can work it inside out if you want to do the knit 3, purl 1 through the back loop. But I don't mind purling, and I would rather knit through the back loop than purl through the back loop. So that's what I chose. But I don't really, it sat so long because I got bored. I got bored starting this round and round pattern, because it's not just mindless knitting or just mindless purling. I do have to remember every 4th stitch to knit it through the back loop, and sometimes I don't. And I catch myself watching TV and realizing my hands aren't doing the right thing, and I look down and sure enough, several stitches back, I've just purled all the way across. So anyway, I love it. I want to wear it. I have another tank top on the needles that I want to finish or get back to, but I thought this one really needs to get done first. It's an older one, so we've gone back to that. So yeah, I need to do this during knit nights on Zoom, that kind of thing, or meetings, because I don't enjoy working on this, but it's easy. And you know, I've got several inches to go. I probably have to go, you know, several more, because this is probably skimming my belly button. And oh, I'm not a midriff girl. Nobody needs to see that. No. Right, I've just realized I don't have my extra light on, so hopefully the lighting's okay. Not highlighting the bags under my eyes today. Oof, sinuses. The next item, the last one really that comes to knitting I just wanted to talk about is a sock that I started as an informal knit along on Instagram, just because it's sock season. I saw the pattern came to mind again for some reason, and I thought, I want those socks. I think it was the quilting connection. Let me lean forward and get the book, excuse me. I am knitting the Starflight socks, which is located in this issue of Pom Pom Quarterly. It is using the Farmer's Daughter Fibers Bear Paw sock yarn. So the pattern, I'm not sure, sorry Allison. What you can't really tell from the photograph here is that on the foot is this nice texture to it. So at the top, you have the quilted star motif. So this is all charted. You have a quilted star motif, and then you have the flying geese motif above and below. And then this flying geese motif will come in right before you do the toes as well. So this was very easy to work on. It has a slip stitch heel flap. It has the heel turn, the gusset. Last night I did the gusset decreases and started on the, you work the pattern, the quilted pattern on the instep only. I don't know if it shows up in this lighting. I think it kind of does. You can see the little sort of blips in there. That's the quilted texture. I think partly it does look like the way a quilt looks after it's been washed based on the quilting, especially if it was a hand-tied quilt, you know, where they put you put the string or thread through all the layers of the quilt and then tie it together to hold it together. I think it does have that. And it shows up much better in person than in the photographs. But if you've joined in with me on the knit along, I think I posted the hashtag as Starflight KAL, Starflight socks knit along. I'll check that. I hopefully can figure out how to put it here on the screen. Otherwise it'll be in the description box. I haven't actually gone in and checked that hashtag for a while on Instagram, but it's very informal. It's just, want to knit these socks with me? Knit these socks. Take however long you like. It doesn't matter. It's just for fun. And so I am making progress. There's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's actually pretty fast, pretty easy. I am making size 3, and I'm using the 2.25 millimeter needles. Just doing one at a time on magic loop, which is my preferred method. I do like to do 2 at a time on magic loop if they're toe up socks. But cuffed down, I don't really enjoy it as much. I do like 2 at a time because I'm more likely then to get 2 of the same size socks. When I do them 1 at a time, even if they're on 2 separate needles, I don't know. Well, no, definitely if I do them 1 at a time, 1 set of needles, I find my tensions completely different. One sock is always looser and the other one's tighter. And I've had one sock, despite my counting and using stitch markers, had a longer leg than the other. So, sorry, I just stabbed myself with my needles. So those are the Starflight socks. So I'm making progress. Let me know, are you joining in? I need to go take a look on Instagram and see if anybody else has been knitting these socks. I did mention the sock colors. I'll post my Ravelry page below, but I'm using the original colors in the pattern. I'm sure that the sagey green is Ranch Romance, but I can't remember. Is this little, I don't know if it's Wapiti, however the pronunciation is. I apologize. I probably did not get it. Is this sort of golden brown color. The last part I want to talk about will be my spinning. So my spinning saga. I think as a fairly experienced knitter, I've been knitting for over 20 years, I have worked out what I need to do in terms of leaving myself notes when I'm going to put a project down. I, at this stage of life, need notes on every single thing because it doesn't matter the length of time that that object sits there, I'm likely to forget something or make assumptions that are not accurate. So I tend to use Ravelry a lot for that. I will use the notes pages there. Otherwise, if it's not accessible, I will have a printed pattern and I will make notes on the printed pattern. I will do things as much as not just say why the stitch markers are in there, what they're marking, but they're marking different things and they're different colors. I will be that specific about it because I know my brain and it needs those specifics. I will also put in where I am, how much to do, things, especially if you're doing a sock. So the second one looks the same, or hopefully should be the same, or what my plan is. Now, I haven't done that for spinning. Ravelry has project pages that you can make for your spinning projects. I'm not very good at using that at the moment. I really wish I had, because in June of this year, I was in the middle of spinning some superwash merino that was hand dyed that I bought up in the Adirondacks in northern New York. So it's this yarn here. This is part of the braid. It was a comb top as a braid. And I went away with my family for 5 weeks to Australia from June through July. And while on that trip, I hadn't left myself any notes, anything whatsoever about the spinning project. I just covered it with the dust cover and away I went. Now it was 5 weeks, took 3 flights to get home to Tampa, and it was a 14-hour time difference. So needless to say, I was jet lagged. But spinning, what a great thing to do when your brain is mush, because I can just sit there, get back into the flow and just spin to my heart's content. Normally when I spin, it only takes a few days to spin something because I just do like one. So far I've only done one spinning project involving 100 grams of yarn. Not so in this case. I got to the end of the fiber that was sitting out and thought, wow, that was great, I'm done. Let's wash this up, let's set the twist. And I did that, and I looked at the yarn and I thought, what happened here? Why is this so over twisted? What was I doing with this yarn? I had all these questions, and I thought, well, at least it's just a small bit of yarn. So here it is, my ramen yarn. So this has been washed. That's all the excess twist still in here. I think my idea was that I was trying to spin this to be a single ply, which means you don't put in as much twist to it because it's not going to lose that twist against another ply when you ply yarns together. If that was the case, I failed miserably. Now I could put it back on the wheel and remove some of the twist that's in here, but I think what I'll do is just wind it into a ball, take both ends, and then ply them together and see what happens. And we'll just take it as a little experiment. So after I saw that it turned out like this, I just went over to my little basket that has fiber in it, which by the way, needs to expand because the fiber is falling out. We're not going to talk about last weekend's purchases, but yeah. There'll be more spinning content is what that means, right? More spinning content in the future. Anyway, I brought this over to put into the basket to just leave it for now. And I found more fiber. So I hadn't even noticed that there was more fiber and that I wasn't done. So anyway, that one will get done eventually. What I've done now with the remaining possibly 2/3 of the original braid that I had split down the middle, I have I made sure to mark what's considered the start of each section of braid. I just re-braid it on itself, each section from the original braid, so that I know that this is the end I start with when I grab a new length of fiber. So I'm going to spin these onto 3 bobbins. So I have 2 others, one that I've actually just finished. And then I will apply those together as a 3-ply. And I should get my kind of standard sport DK weight in that. I've never done a 3-ply that way. I have chain plied, which was a lot of fun actually to do. But I wanted to try doing 3 plies instead of 2 as part of my knitting. And my bobbin just rolled onto the floor. So let me go grab that and show you what it looks like so far. So this is it. It is, I'm not sure about the colors, but this is actually a very pale pink, almost white in places, very pastel, into some deep reds. I'd say these are more bluish pinks and reds rather than orangey ones. So that's my first one. Don't pay any attention to all the little pigtails. I know, I'm getting back into the swing of things. It's fine. I don't mind putting a lot of twist into my singles. I've only done 2 plies, so maybe it's too much twist. I don't mind having a little bit of extra twist, even still in the finished project, depending on what it will be used for in the end. Now, I don't know what it's going to be used for. Maybe it won't get used for anything. Maybe this is just part of the journey, is learning to ply and how this works. One thing I wish I did have was a yardage counter, so I could actually figure out how many yards of my fiber I have. I do have a homemade knitting naughty that I had my oldest son make for me out of some plumbing pipe, like PVC type pipe that we bought at Lowe's. I gave him the dimensions to measure it to and cut it down, hoping it would give me about 1.5 or 2 yards per circuit. I don't think it does quite, but at least I have some idea of how much yarn there actually is. I think the electric e-wheel, I think there is which is what I use, from Dreaming Robots. I'm not sponsored by them, although if they'd like me to be sponsored by them, just let me know. I think they do actually have some sort of meter or yardage counting equipment that comes with it. I'm not really sure. Anyway, so I have 1 bobbin of this spun up. I have started, the second one is on the wheel, and this will be the 3rd. So hopefully within the week, this will be finished. Then we'll see, I'll show you what that looks like. Hopefully, maybe next time. So that's it this week. Hopefully the lighting's okay. I'm just jumping in quickly. So that's what I'm gonna restrict it to this week. I did want to mention that although I have posted pictures and stories and things on Instagram about our family trip to Australia in June and July, and they're archived there. If you'd like to hear a little bit more about that trip, what we did, our impressions, where we went, you know, not a movie length video, but if you'd like to know anything about that, let me know. I could do a separate video covering that. Let me know the kinds of things you're interested in knowing about that I could include in that video from our experiences, not as any kind of travel expert or anything. I did meet a friend that I made online through YouTube and then Instagram, Met her in person when I went to Australia, and she was really great at helping me come up with ideas of what to do for my bucket list trip. So hi Karen, and thanks for everything. And I hope you're getting some time to watch your knitting episodes, that you have a break now. But anyway, thanks for joining me here again, and I hope to see you another time. Until then, happy crafting.